I live in France, land of cheese, wine, the Minitel, protests, and generous vacations. And on those vacations, many people from Paris like to get away from the big city. Its noise, chaos, the protests, you know what I mean. This year, my family and I chose to go to the French Riviera. This is the part of France on the Mediterranean, stretching from Marseille to Nice. It was a great trip, filled with gorgeous scenery and delicious food and hiking. But waiting for me at the end of the week was a long train ride home. The train from Cannes, where we were staying, to Paris, is scheduled to take 5 hours and 17 minutes. Maybe I could play Elden Ring. I'm not a speedrunner, but I did manage to finish the game in about 6 hours one time. So maybe, if I played really well, I could make it in around 5. So from the game perspective, this challenge run is very simple. When I get on the train in Cannes, I start a fresh save file. I play the game vanilla style, and then I try to roll credits before arriving in Paris. Besides the time restriction, the challenge part of this challenge run comes from the environment itself. Because, as you might imagine, playing Elden Ring on a public train comes with certain complications. In the first place, the whole run depends on whether or not I can get Elden Ring to run on my travel laptop, which is a Mac, not even a PC. And even if it does run, how laggy will it be? Elden Ring is a game that demands precision timing, so even if I can open the game on my MacBook, how hard will it be with all the lag? Second, there's the train environment itself. Running a AAA video game, my laptop is going to be burning through its battery, so if the train doesn't have outlets, the run is dead. The train environment is also going to be chaotic, with plenty of interruptions from the conductor and other passengers arriving and leaving, so I'm definitely going to lose time there. The final complication is really more of a feature. It's that I'm not traveling alone. My dog Max, a 5-year-old Coton de Tulear, is taking the train home with me. He's a great traveler and usually just sleeps the whole time. But if he has a problem or needs me, I'll have to drop everything to take care of him. And Max often has things I need to help him with.
Are you stuck, my bud? I know, it's so high up.
So this is a story of how I try to finish Elden Ring on a train trip from the French Riviera to Paris. Can I figure out how to install the game on my laptop? Will the power on the train be sufficient? Will Max be chill for the full 5 hours? And, most importantly, will I be able to repress my game rage enough to avoid getting shushed by other passengers? Stay tuned to find out. I really want to play Elden Ring on my laptop, but how can I do it? At home I play it on PS5, but I only travel with a laptop. And it's a MacBook, not even a PC, which at least has an Elden Ring release. But a couple of Google and YouTube searches showed me that there's actually a whole cottage industry devoted to playing Elden Ring on Mac. So I actually have a lot of different options to choose from. I eventually decided to buy the PC version and run it on my laptop using Crossover. To use a metaphor, Crossover translates Windows commands into Mac commands so that you can run Windows software as if it was designed native to Mac. This actually works like a charm, and soon Elden Ring is up and running on my little MacBook Pro. Achievement unlocked. And I will be eternally grateful to code weavers who make Crossover and to the YouTubers who showed me how to do this. Step 1 is complete, but how does it play? On the default settings, it's not great. Very laggy. But if I turn the settings down to minimum, the lag is greatly reduced, and the game looks fine. I board the train in Cannes and set everything up. I'm pleased to see that my seat has outlets, and they appear to work. Max settles himself on the ground and falls right asleep as the train leaves the station. With all these things sorted out, it's time to play some Elden Ring. My strategy for this run is not very subtle. It's first, just try to get as powerful as possible as quickly as possible, and second, then bulldoze as many bosses as possible as quickly as possible. This means getting as many levels, finding the best talismans, and upgrading my weapon as early as possible. We start with the samurai class because they're very strong. They start off with good stats in vigor and dexterity, decent armor, and most importantly, a really good weapon, the Uchigatana. The Uchi is not only powerful, it also inflicts the bleed status. Having a starting weapon with bleed will be crucial to some of our early game strategies. I drop into Limgrave and talk to Melina and get my Spectral Steed Torrent. I then spend the first whole hour of the game going around the map collecting things that I'll need for my build. The first thing that I do is take the transported chest in the Dragonburnt ruins to Caelid in order to start acquiring the somber smithing stones that we'll need to upgrade our final weapon. And here we have our first time-wasting death to the rats guarding the chest. Not a promising start. Worried that it was the lag that was responsible for this mishap, I try it again, and this time just barely make it to Caelid intact. I pick up the somber smithing stone 5, which is guarded by one of those weird wizard Katamari ball things. Only to then get memed by some marionettes that I usually have no problem avoiding. Honestly, all the timings in the game just feel a bit off. I guess I see now why people usually prefer playing Elden Ring on PS5 rather than on their laptop. I continue going around Limgrave and Caelid, collecting the stones, talismans, and key items that I'll need for my build and to progress the game. Golden seeds and sacred tears, the green turtle talisman, which raises stamina recovery, somber smithing stones 8 and 9, one half of the Dectus medallion, which will allow me to enter the Altus Plateau and progress the game, along with Radagon's Source Seal, which raises health, stamina, strength, and dexterity by 5 levels each, in exchange for a bit of increased damage taken. Now, because we want to be as strong as we can before fighting bosses, we do 2 things that are not very nice. Running around Stormvale, we meet Alexander Warriorjar, who has had the misfortune of getting himself stuck in a hole. He wants us to help him get free, and we're more than happy to oblige by smacking him on the butt with our sword. I mean, where his butt would be if he wasn't a jar. We accept the exalted flesh that he gives us as thanks, and then, well, we turn on him. He falls, contemplating the absurdity of life, and we acquire the Warrior Jar Shard, which boosts our weapon skills by 10%. I'm really sorry, Alexander, but 10% extra damage in this game, it's really a lot. But our evil rampage doesn't end there. Just outside the fort where we find part of the Dectus medallion lies Elder Dragon Grail. Grail is the proud mother of what look to be 5 adolescent dragons. She lies there, incapacitated by what, I imagine, is exhaustion from being a single mother to 5 teenagers. Now what you're supposed to do is kill the teenagers, and then she disappears. Her job as a mother being completed. No comment. But actually, if you go around behind her and kind of tickle her inner knee with your weapons, ideally one that can apply some status effect, she'll just sit there and you can kill her without anyone attacking you. If you pop a gold pickled Foulfoot shortly before she dies, you can get 96,000 runes from this cowardly, heartless, but effective cheese. I take this money to Blacksmith E.G. in Liurnia to buy somber smithing stones 1 to 4 and use the rest to level up health, stamina, dexterity, and strength. On my way to E.G., I meet Raya in Liurnia and start a questline to try to get to Volcano Manor as soon as possible. Volcano Manor is a huge detour, which a real speedrunner would never take. But at my mediocre skill level, I'm going to need some materials that are found therein. So we're now all set up to acquire the main weapon that we'll use in this run, the Bloodhound Fang. Oh, Bloodhound Fang, sweet, sweet Bloodhound Fang, with your bleed and Bloodhound's finesse, you're beloved by speedrunners and casuals alike. I upgrade the Bloodhound Fang to +5, and finally, over an hour into the run, we're actually ready to start fighting some real bosses. The train is coming up to Toulon, and Max is still sleeping sweetly. What a champ. The point of taking so long to get set up is so that we can just bulldoze as many bosses as quickly as we can. And this is what we do. Margit gets shredded by the Bloodhound Fang, and in particular its Ash of War. This is reassuring because it means that poor Alexander's sacrifice was not in vain. I also do great damage against Godric, and I take him down on the first try, with the help of Nefeli Lu. Godric dead, I can now meet Vari in Liurnia and start his questline. Doing what he tells us will open up the quickest way to get not only Somber Stonesmithing 6, but also Somber 10. Now I know that many speedrunners consider that having a fully upgraded weapon is overkill, but I don't want to take any chances with the endgame bosses. And as they say, the slowest thing that you can do is die. I get the second half of the Dectus Medallion in Fort Height, and proceed to enter the Altus Plateau. Upon exiting the lift, I meet up with Raya and she brings me to Volcano Manor. I ran all the way through Volcano Manor, killing the Godskin Noble on my way. All of this is to get one single item, the Somber Smithing Stone 7 that is being guarded by an abductor virgin. Jeez, what a time sink. I wish I was better at the game to get to skip this. I finally arrive at the door leading to the Somber 7, and I make a horrifying discovery. I don't have enough stone sword keys. Apparently, this particular door takes 2, and since, for some reason, I didn't remember this, so I thought that I only had to pick one up. Ugh, amateur hour. I port out and go to Round Table Hold to buy a second key, wasting valuable time as I go. Okay, so clearly in addition to skill issues, I also have knowledge issues. Having a second key, I finally grab the Somber 7 and get the hell out of there. Back on the Altus Plateau, I decide to further Vari's questline by invading and killing Magnus the Beastclaw. This action is also beneficial because Magnus drops a Somber Smithing Stone 6, which was one of the 2 stones that were missing. Unfortunately, Magnus is a bit of a menace, and he gives us our first death that isn't to gravity or a random mob. I get him on the second try though, and return to Vari for instructions, Somber 6 in hand. Now Vari wants me to find the, quote, blood of a maiden, so I head to the Weeping Peninsula and murder poor Irina, who's just sitting there on a stump. Sorry, Irina, I don't have time to hear about your daddy issues today. I have a Lord of Blood to suck up to. I return to Vari, and he gives me the medal that can transport me to Mogwin Palace. I engage in yet another long, time-wasting running section through the palace, dying 2 whole times to the nobles in the Dark Mausoleum as I try to dash through. Getting stomped on by enemies while I run around the map really seems to be the theme of this run. I give up and go back to Kali and buy the torch, and finally make it through the running section. Note for future runs, always buy the torch. I pick up the Somber Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, which is the whole reason we're here. And now we have the final upgrade material for our weapon. With a fully upgraded weapon, we can continue to progress the game. Now, in order to get to the next area, Lanedale Castle, we need to possess 2 Great Runes. We already got one from Godric, and now we have to choose another rune bearer to fight. Obviously, the easiest one is Renala the Mage, but in order to get to her, we have to get through the whole Academy of Raya Lucaria area, which is very, very slow. And since we've already done enough detours in this run, I decide to go for Radahn, since we can teleport to his boss arena directly from Caelid. Radahn can be really tough, but at the end of the day, he's no match for a fully upgraded Bloodhound Fang, and I beat him on the first try. We're now ready to go to Lanedale, but the Draconic Tree Sentinel is blocking our way. Fortunately, he is also no match for our weapon, and a couple of Bloodhound finesses is all it takes to remove him from our path. The first boss in Lanedale is Godfrey's Golden Shade, aka Goldfrey. He's a real pain to get to. And here, I really feel that the game that I'm playing on my laptop is different from the one at home. The slight difference in the timings means that I keep getting caught in his axe combo, which is usually the easiest to avoid. I start playing more defensively and beat him on the 3rd try. But still, it's a strange feeling to die multiple times to a boss that usually doesn't cause any trouble. Then, it's Morgott. Objectively, a more difficult fight than Godfrey. But since fighting him doesn't rely on catching the rhythm of the attack so much, the fact that the timings are slightly off doesn't make a huge difference, and he goes down on the first try. I now head to the Forbidden Lands to fight the Fire Giant. But as I'm about to enter the fight, I see that Max has woken up and is trying to get my attention. I tell him to chill out and go back to sleep, but he is not happy about it. I go into the fire giant anyways. The fire giant is always a bit of a tough fight, and the terrain of his arena really does not help. All in all, it took me 4 tries to get him. More than I'd like, but if I'm being honest, not that unusual. I finish Fire Giant and look over at the dog. He has decided that enough is enough, and I have no business ignoring him when he needs his cuddles. So understanding the cuddle emergency, I realize that this means the end of the run. So with a heavy heart, I shut down my laptop and admit defeat at the hands of the cutest dog ever. So that's how this challenge run ends, with the Fire Giant at 3 hours and 32 minutes of in-game time. How did it go? Well, I was pretty proud of myself to actually be able to play the game on my laptop and be somewhat concentrated on a busy train. Both the lack of concentration and the lag took a toll though, and I actually had more deaths to weird, misjudged timings of the environment than to bosses. And also I died this one time when the conductor came to check my ticket at the worst time ever. So to answer the question posed at the beginning of this video, can I beat Elden Ring on the train from Ken to Paris? Well, maybe. I was actually making pretty good time, with a whole hour and a half to get through the rest of the game. On the other hand, that last boss gauntlet is pretty tough, so the definitive answer will have to wait for my next trip down south. One question we do know the answer to, however, is can you beat Elden Ring on a train with a dog? And the answer to that is a definite no.